Someone in your life right now is not who they appear to be. They wear a perfect face. They say perfect things. And you haven't noticed yet, because they don't want you to. Look around the room. Someone is calculating. Someone is measuring your reactions, your weaknesses, your loyalty. While you are enjoying the moment, they are studying it. That is the gap they exploit. Most people believe they can read others. Most are wrong. The manipulator doesn't announce himself. He blends in. He mirrors you. He makes you feel understood, because that is his weapon. Manipulation is not crude. It is surgical. It does not leave marks. It moves you like a piece on a board, slowly, convincingly, until you reach the exact position they intended all along. Dark psychology is not evil. It is knowledge. The same knife that harms can also heal. What separates the predator from the protected is understanding, knowing exactly what to look for before it's too late. You have been conditioned to trust people based on how they make you feel. That is the first mistake. Feelings can be manufactured. Warmth can be faked. Sincerity is the most convincing mask ever worn. What you are about to learn has been suppressed, not because it is wrong, but because it is too accurate. These are the patterns the powerful use and the unaware never see coming. Stay. Because what comes next will permanently change how you read every room, every conversation, every relationship. Once you see these tricks clearly, you will never be moved by them again. 500 years ago, a man sat in exile and wrote the most dangerous book in human history. Not because it promoted evil, but because it told the truth about how power actually works. Niccolò Machiavelli watched princes rise and fall. He studied betrayal, loyalty, illusion, and fear with the precision of a surgeon. He wrote it all down, and rulers tried to ban it for centuries. Machiavelli understood what most philosophers refuse to admit. Human beings are not primarily rational. They are primarily emotional, and that emotion, when understood correctly, becomes the ultimate lever of influence and control. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." That sentence was written in 1513. It is more true today than ever. What Machiavelli gave the world was a mirror. Not flattery, a mirror. And the people who fear that mirror the most are the ones who need it most desperately to understand their own vulnerabilities. These tricks are not theories. They are patterns, observed across centuries of courts, boardrooms, bedrooms, and battlefields. They work because human nature has not changed. Only the costumes have changed. Whether it is your colleague, your partner, your friend, or your rival, these 8 patterns are operating around you right now. Seeing them is not paranoia. Seeing them is power. Let us begin. In the next 16 minutes, you will hear 8 truths that will forever change how you perceive the people in your inner circle. The most dangerous manipulator you will ever encounter does not push you. They pull you. They become a mirror, reflecting your values, your dreams, your humor, until you feel profoundly, completely understood. This is called mirroring, and it is devastatingly effective. When someone reflects your own personality back at you, your brain registers them as familiar, safe, and trustworthy, before a single real act of loyalty has occurred. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He warned that the prince must appear virtuous, compassionate, faithful, kind, while not necessarily being any of those things. Appearance, not reality, is what moves the crowd. Watch how quickly someone agrees with your opinions in early conversations. Watch how their taste mysteriously aligns with yours. Watch how they finish your sentences. That is not chemistry. That is construction. The mirror trap works because it hijacks your need for connection. You are not falling for them. You are falling for yourself. The version of yourself they are performing back at you with perfect precision. The defense is stillness. Before you call someone a soulmate, ask, have they ever truly disagreed with you? Have they ever said no? No real person agrees with everything. Mirrors have no opinions. They are not your reflection. They are your blind spot wearing your face. The mirror trap always ends when you finally change, and suddenly they no longer recognize themselves in you. They pull back. Suddenly, without explanation, the warmth is gone. The text slows down. The attention fades. And something inside you panics. That panic is not love. That is manufactured scarcity at work. Scarcity psychology is among the oldest tools of influence known to man. What becomes rare becomes valuable. What becomes uncertain becomes obsessive. The manipulator knows this, and engineers their absence with surgical precision. Robert Cialdini mapped this principle decades after Machiavelli lived it. Scarcity triggers desire. It is not about the object, the jewel, the person, the position. It is about the threat of loss that rewires your brain. When someone consistently disappears after closeness, they are training you. Each disappearance teaches you to be grateful when they return. Each return feels like relief. You stop noticing you are in a cycle. Nietzsche said that the thought of suicide has gotten many a man through a dark night. Scarcity operates the same way. The thought of losing someone keeps you tethered, compliant, and emotionally exhausted. The test is simple. Genuine people are consistent. Their care does not spike and disappear rhythmically. Real warmth does not require your panic to sustain itself. Love does not play with its own withdrawal. While you are chasing, they are calculating. Not because they are cruel, but because desperation is the most powerful state to keep someone in. Desperate people do not negotiate. They comply. They never accuse you directly. They wound themselves near you. They suffer visibly. They remind you of sacrifices made. And suddenly, without a word of blame, you feel responsible for their pain. This is guilt architecture. The manipulator does not trap you with force. They build the walls from your own conscience, using your empathy as the mortar. The cage is invisible because you built it yourself. Jung called it the shadow, the part of us that projects its darkest contents onto others. The guilt architect makes you carry their shadow. Their wounds become your fault. Their failures become your burden. Watch the language they use. After everything I have done for you, I sacrificed so much. I just expected better. These are not expressions of pain, they are invoices. Emotional debt presented as vulnerability. The moment you accept guilt for something you did not cause, you have given someone control over your behavior. You will now act, not from your values, but from their discomfort. That is ownership. Empathy is your strength. Guilt architecture is the weaponization of that strength against you. You are not responsible for managing another adult's emotional state. Caring is a gift. Being controlled by it is a trap. Not responsibility. Not love. Not loyalty. Guilt. When you trace what keeps you in a situation, follow that thread. If it leads to guilt and not choice, you are in an architect's construction. It does not happen overnight. That is the point. The slow bleed is designed to be undetectable. One small compromise, one small boundary crossed, one small piece of your identity quietly surrendered over time. You do not notice it happening. You only notice the result. The day you realize you no longer speak up, no longer push back, no longer remember who you were before this person entered your life. Machiavelli understood incremental conquest. He wrote that injuries must be done all at once so they are felt less. The skilled manipulator inverts this, spreading harm so thinly it never reaches your threshold for alarm. Each small ask is reasonable alone. Each small criticism seems fair in isolation. Each small sacrifice feels appropriate at the time. But together they are a demolition, conducted at a pace designed to avoid your detection. The question to ask yourself is this: who were you before? What did you believe? What would you have never tolerated? If the distance between that person and who you are today is vast, trace that distance carefully. Identity erosion is the slow bleed's goal. Not your money, not your time, your self-concept. Because a man without a stable identity is infinitely easier to direct, to move, to use, and to discard. Resist the slow bleed by keeping a record of yourself. Know your values. Know your non-negotiables. Write them down. A man with a fixed self-concept cannot be gradually dismantled by patient hands. They tell you a secret early. Something personal, something vulnerable, perhaps something painful. And instantly you feel chosen, trusted, special. That feeling is not accidental. It is the opening move of a calculated intimacy game. Psychologists call this the disclosure trust loop. When someone shares something vulnerable first, your brain automatically reciprocates, sharing something of your own. And now they have intelligence you never consciously chose to give them. This is not friendship. This is reconnaissance. Everything you reveal in this manufactured intimacy becomes a map of your interior, your fears, your wounds, your desires, held quietly for future strategic use against you. Jung wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. False intimacy simulates that reaction without the transformation. A counterfeit alchemy. The sign of manufactured closeness is speed. Genuine intimacy develops slowly, tested by disagreement, silence, and time. When someone pushes you to closeness too fast, that urgency is the tell. Slow down. Real things do not rush. Not every person who opens up is manipulating you. But every manipulator will open up first. This is the distinction. They learn your interior architecture so they can move through it without triggering your alarm systems. Guard your depths. Share your surface freely. But your wounds, your fears, your ambitions, those belong to people who have earned them through time and demonstrated loyalty. Not to those who asked within the first few hours. You remember a conversation one way. They remember it differently, and they are very certain about it. Over time, quietly, you stop trusting your own memory. You begin to defer to theirs. That is not coincidence. Reality reframing is among the most corrosive of all psychological tools. Not because it breaks you, but because it works from the inside out. It does not attack what you think. It attacks how you think. Machiavelli knew this well. He wrote that men are so easily deceived and so much governed by immediate necessity that the deceiver will always find those willing to be deceived. The key word, willing, made so by confusion. When someone consistently reinterprets your behavior in the worst possible light while reframing their own in the best possible light, that asymmetry is not a communication style. It is a dominance technique executed under the cover of conversation. The way out is external anchors. Keep a journal. Speak to people outside the relationship who knew you before. Reality testing requires witnesses. Isolated, confused, and doubting yourself. That is the exact target state they are engineering. Certainty is power. When someone cannot shake your perception of what you directly experienced, they lose the tool. You cannot be reframed if you have documented evidence of your own reality, tested and confirmed by trusted others. Trust what you experienced, not the version they rewrote, not the version that made you the problem. Your perception is data. Your instincts are data. A person who consistently edits your reality is editing your freedom. They give to you, early, generously, and unexpectedly. A favor, a gift, a recommendation. And you feel warmth, gratitude, a desire to return it. That desire is the debt they came to collect. This is the law of reciprocity, one of the most powerful psychological forces governing human behavior. When someone gives, the brain registers an automatic obligation to return. The manipulator weaponizes this instinct with devastating efficiency. Machiavelli warned about those who appear generous but whose liberality serves a hidden accounting. Real generosity asks for nothing. Strategic generosity is a transaction, dressed in kindness, executed with the patience of a creditor. The tell is timing. Strategic generosity appears precisely when it can create the most leverage. Before you ask for something, before a decision, before a moment of independence. The gift arrives exactly when they need the debt. You can break this pattern by pausing before you receive. Ask yourself, why now, why this, and what context surrounds this gift? Unsolicited generosity from someone with an agenda is not a gift. It is an investment. You do not owe anyone your compliance, your silence, or your soul because they gave you something you did not ask for. Generosity without strings exists. When strings appear after the gift was never real. The free man gives freely and receives freely. He carries no emotional ledger. When you recognize a ledger being kept on your behalf, close the account. Some debts are designed to be eternal, and payment is always compliance. They are always the victim. In every story, every conflict, every relationship they have ever had, they were wronged. Everyone betrayed them. Everyone failed them. And now here you are, their last hope, their only safe person. Pity is a profound human emotion. It signals care, protection, and moral goodness in the person who feels it. The manipulator knows this. They perform vulnerability with the precision of a trained actor facing an empty theater. Nietzsche wrote that the will to power can manifest as weakness, as the demand to be protected, served, and excused. The pity play is power wearing helplessness. It is dominance concealed inside apparent fragility. The test is pattern versus moment. Every person has moments of genuine suffering that deserve your compassion. But when suffering is the constant, when helplessness is always presented precisely when you might draw a boundary, that is a pattern. Genuine helplessness accepts help and grows. Manufactured helplessness refuses solutions, because the goal was never to solve the problem. The goal was to keep you emotionally tethered, watching over them, unable to leave without feeling monstrous. Compassion without discernment is not virtue. It is exposure. You can have deep empathy for human suffering and still recognize when that suffering is being instrumentalized against your boundaries, your reason, and your life. The man who sees clearly sees with compassion and with strength simultaneously. He is not cold. He is calibrated. He offers real help to real pain, and he refuses to be ruled by pain that is performed. Return to where we began. That person in your life. That room. That smile. Look again. Now with the eyes of a man who has studied the architecture beneath the performance they have been giving you. The room has not changed. The people have not changed. What has changed is you, the lens you now carry, the vocabulary of pattern recognition you now possess. Awareness is the only true immunity. These 8 truths, mirroring manufactured scarcity, guilt architecture, the slow bleed, false intimacy, reality reframing, strategic generosity, the pity play, are not separate tricks. They are one unified strategy. The dismantling of your self-sovereignty, piece by piece. Machiavelli did not create these patterns. He documented them. They existed before him and they will outlive our generation. Your only defense is to see them, clearly, early, and without the fog of flattery clouding your vision. The man who understands these dynamics does not become cold. He becomes steel. He retains his warmth, his depth, his loyalty, but forges it within a framework that cannot be infiltrated by those who would harvest it. Knowledge is not arrogance. Awareness is not paranoia. Seeing people clearly is the deepest form of respect, because it means you are engaging with reality, not the comfortable fiction they constructed to gain access to your trust. If this video opened something for you, If you recognized a pattern, a person, a dynamic, share it with someone who needs to see it too. Knowledge shared is armor distributed. Like this video. Subscribe to Dark Psyche Code. The sharpest weapon you will ever carry is not a strategy, a technique, or a tactic. It is the quiet, unshakable clarity of a man who has looked into the darkness and chosen to see.